Fasting cures disease, dries up bodily humors, puts demons to flight, gets rid of impure thoughts, makes the mind clear, the heart pure, and the body sanctified, and raises man to the throne of God. Athenius. This Greek physician knew the power of a solid food vacation. And isn't it sad when you see the ignorant want to find flaws in this without even considering the positives? Why are you even looking at any of the negatives when you got all these positives to consider? It's a distraction. A distraction. Oh, a solid on a water fast, you're going to lose some muscle. You're going to even lose parts of your organs, or your organs are going to atrophy in order to feed the other organs. In the body's wisdom, it knows what to do when you stop eating. It's by design. It's how our body heals. After 3 days, the body kicks in autolysis. That's where the body kicks in a self-digestive mode. It has to cannibalize what's inside the body. The brain also switches over from running on glucose to fat. Ketosis kicks in. It's a backup system. Don't believe in these ketosis diets or ketogenic diets. Oh, it works. It does this, it does that. You got to look at the big picture. You have to understand what it's doing. It's a backup system, which doesn't have a backup system. Fasting is a backup system that kicks in ketosis, but it also kicks in autolysis, where this is where the body gobbles up bad stuff. This is how the body heals, because most of our diseases are coming from things inside of us that don't belong there. That's why fasting is so powerful. And yet you're going to get fools that come along and try to find something wrong with it. And then, when you compare the two modalities, fasting, a solid food vacation, either on water or juices, compared to the allopathic system, that's the number one cause of death here in America. More people die because of this system than any other disease, more than heart disease and cancer. And this doesn't even factor the reason why they had the heart disease and cancer is because of them. They're supposed to be telling us what to do, and they're not. So when you compare them and see how many people they're killing every day, as soon as someone dies on a water fast, what happens to them? They're ruined. That's what happened to Herbert Shelton. That's what happened to Vivian Vetrano. There's a risk when it comes to fasting. There's a downside, but look at the positive side. Oh my God, that person died while they did a fast. Well, look how many people are dying with allopathic medicine. There comes a very small risk, very small risk. Every operation you have is a calculated risk, but the risks there are high. The risk going to allopathic medicine is high. The risks using nature are low, but there's still a small risk, especially since we don't live in an ideal time anymore. I've mentioned this a million times, that a water fast is, we got to modify because we don't live in an ideal world anymore. You're damaged, the environment's damaged, and if you've got too many environmental toxins in you, you won't have the nutrients that are needed for the liver to complete a two-phase process to neutralize and eliminate these toxins. So there's a little bit of a drawback to a water fast nowadays. Again, that's why we have to modify it, drink nothing but juices. But there's even a drawback to our ideal diet. And you hear the same complaints of people not knowing what's going on. Oh my God, I adopted a raw food diet. I'm a thin guy to begin with. And man, I'm 6 foot tall, weigh 140 pounds. I went down to 110 pounds. Oh my God. How many times do you hear that? I've read that so many times, it's not even funny. And what happens, the same diet they lost all that weight on, they gain it right back. And why is that? It's because when you do this, when you make this type of dietary change and you do food, the body's going to break down tissue faster at a rate that it can build it back up. So there's an imbalance in the beginning. But again, it always reverses it. When you eat the food you're supposed to eat, you're going to weigh the weight you're supposed to weigh. The body will normalize its normal weight. So if you're underweight, you'll actually gain weight. If you're overweight, you're going to lose it. The body normalizes when you do this with an understanding. We don't live in an ideal world anymore. You are damaged. The environment is damaged. We might have to supplement. We might have to incorporate more juices in the beginning because most people can't go from 5 grams of fiber to 50 or 60 grams. It's going to shock the system. They can't handle that much food. So what do? Well, first of all, you take a solid food vacation, but do it on juices. Why? Because it cures disease, it dries up bodily humors, it puts demons to flight, gets rid of impure thoughts, makes the mind cleared, the heart pure, the body sanctified, and raises man to the throne of God. That's why. Oh, but you're not going to get the fiber. This is only something on a temporary basis. Yeah, we're going to be missing a few things, but not getting everything that's in that fiber. Yes, we need that fiber. But this is only something we do on a temporary basis. So if you're going to look at something, my friends, you got to weigh both sides. You got to look at what you're getting and what it costs. Now, even the natural hygienists that are pushing the water fast, because they don't understand other protocols, they make stupid comments all the time, which is why so many people don't like them. They'll say, oh, those are innovating. The saunas are innovating. The hot bath is innovating. But what about a water fast? Is that innovating? Well, let me say I'm going to do a 6-week water fast, and I'm going to need another 6 weeks to recuperate. It's a 12-week water fast. That's almost a 3-month program. That's a complete vacation from not solid food, but from life in general. You can't do anything on that type of solid food vacation. So it has its drawbacks because of our society. Our society is damaged. We have the subsequent need for money. People have financial responsibilities. How many single-parent families are out there? That single parent can't say, okay, everybody, you guys fend for yourself. I know you're only 5 or 6, but you can do it. No, you have to realize we don't live in ideal times anymore. Society is damaged, and that's something we have to consider. Most of us are wasting our time, spending too much time working. We shouldn't be spending our time this way. It's a joke when you look at the world we live in today. Seriously, this is supposed to be paradise. We're not supposed to be obsessed, spending most of our time being a slave to the whole system. Especially a slave to these people who are printing our money. We're debt slaves. Remember John Adams, first vice president of America, second president. The 2 ways to conquer and enslave a nation. One is by the sword, and the other is by debt. Now, in 1913, that's what happened to us. We became debt slaves. That's when that Federal Reserve Act was passed. A foreign entity came in and started printing our money. $1 back in 1913 is worth about 4 cents today. We live on an abundant planet. We're being deceived, we're being fooled, and we work all day and we have scarcity. It's a joke. Even Michael Tellinger with his Ubuntu movement says, look, we looked at what they did in Africa before they had a money system, and they had it figured out. Every little community would produce like 3 main things. Everybody would work a couple hours a week to make that happen. We'd all produce about 10 times what we needed for each community, and then all the communities would change and share everything. Think about that. We should only work a couple hours a week. And that's with that type of system. If we understood what our ancestors understood, that we can still see on this planet in some places where they know you got to plan for 7 generations. When you plan for 7 generations, you got everything covered. You don't have to worry about anything because you know what to store at the right time. Remember, our traditions are the accumulations of all of our wisdom and all the accumulations of our mistakes. The wisdom is what makes us great, and the mistakes is why we're in hell. The problem is we're not passing down the right information to our children. The only thing we should be teaching our children is how to nurture nature, be the guardians we're supposed to be, and do what we're supposed to do, and it doesn't take much work when we do that. When we have a permaculture, a forest of trees, an orchard of fruit, it's a piece of cake to maintain that so there's an abundance for everyone. I'm telling you, man, life is such an illusion on this planet. And right now, we can't even wrap our brain around that. Again, that's the reason why you have to take a solid food vacation. Your brain isn't working very well if you've never done one of these. Remember, we got to modify what used to be ideal in the past because we've damaged ourselves, society, and the environment. Might have to supplement. Might not be able to eat everything you need to get what you need, which is where the juices come into play. But remember, most of us aren't assimilating what we're eating anyway. So remember, there's 3 cycles to food, 3 main cycles to food. There's the consumption stage, there's the absorption stage, and that takes place in 2 places. First, in the small intestines. Secondly, when the cells absorb it. So when we get blood tests, we don't know if it's getting into the cells. That's why you want to do a test like the SpectraCell test, which will actually study what's in the cell to see if we are assimilating those nutrients. And of course, if the cell's damaged, you can't use those nutrients. Now, many times some people get confused about the 3 cycles or 3 main cycles of food because a lot of people put different pieces in different puzzles. Remember, every piece to a puzzle, or every puzzle, is like a Russian doll. There's pieces within it. You keep opening up, you get more puzzles. So if you look at 20 items, for example, it may be in 3 main pieces, 10 are in the first, 5 are in the second, 5 are in the third. So if you can't put the pieces in the right sub-puzzles, then it's going to be easy to be confused and not realizing that you're arguing with somebody who's actually in the same puzzle as you. Or you may think you found the only piece of the puzzle and realize, oh my God, there's 19 more pieces in here. So digressed a little bit on that one. If you want to understand more how that works, check out my ultimate schematic. You have to understand that there are 3 stages of knowledge. In order to understand how to solve any problem, you have to understand there are 3 stages of knowledge. And it's easy for us to get tricked and fooled and look at the wrong information. And right now we've got so much bullshit in our brain and so many references that support it, most of us don't have a chance to make any sense out of it. That's where the solid food vacation comes into play. It's going to give you a brand new reference, and that's the only thing that you can use to challenge all the references we have now that make us think the way we do. So if you haven't done one yet, if you want to find out more about it, check out the description box down below. Check out Dr. Robo when he's on day 21 of this. Been interviewed on the radio. When you get to around the 3rd week, man, there's an accumulative effect that comes when we don't waste energy digesting our food, even if it's only watermelon and grapes. Even when you go from that to a solid food vacation, after several weeks, you see the cumulative effect from not wasting that energy. That's why you want to keep going until you stop having anything coming out of you and your symptoms go away. Now, remember, some of our symptoms aren't going to go away just because we remove the primary causes. We're not eating the wrong food. Now we're finally exercising. We're getting sunshine. We're getting a good night's sleep. We're doing all the things we're supposed to do. But the body's damaged. Remember, this is the art of healing. So fasting addresses the primary causes. It doesn't address the subsequent causes if you're damaged. That's why if you have heavy metals, you've got to get rid of those before you can do a water fast. Now, who knows? There may be a time where everything hits the fan and we don't have any option but to do a water fast. Don't be afraid of fasting. Fear in itself is what's going to kill you. You see idiots on these survival shows programmed to think it's going to be horrible because they're not getting their protein. I heard a stupid comment last night. If you don't have protein, you can't utilize your fat. What? You can't utilize your fat unless you got protein? You bozos! We don't want protein. I haven't had any protein in over 30 years. How have I been maintaining myself? Oh, I haven't used any fat the whole time. Is that why I don't have any on my body? I never used it? Oh, what a stupid comment. See what we're up against? We're bombarded with so much bullshit, so many references. I watched TV and I was reinforced. You got to have the protein, protein, protein. Look at them, look at them, look at them. They're dying out there because they don't know what to do. They're fasting. They should be laying down and resting. So again, we're looking at 2 different items here, and I did a special video on comparing the difference between a water fast and a juice fast or a juice feast. They're both solid food vacations. I'll put a link down below where I compared the 2 and to help you understand that you don't want to combine the 2. But otherwise, they achieve very similar results. The big difference is on a juice feast, a juice fast, a juice diet, we don't kick in autolysis. That was a mistake Pavel Areola made and passed that down to Gabriel Cousins, and Cousins still believes that, which is why he thinks it's better to drink less juice because they see more cleansing reactions. That's not why. There's not more cleansing, Gabriel. They're struggling because they're not flushing stuff out and they don't have enough energy to survive. If you're going to do one or the other, you got to do it right. You got to give the body everything it needs. If you only drank a half gallon of juice, you're not giving your body everything it needs, and you're not going to rehydrate that serpent and get it out of you. And people saying, oh, but it isn't mucoid plaque, it's the psyllium bentonite. Bull effing shit. I never did any psyllium or bentonite the first times I did this, and that's the only time I ever saw that stuff come out of me. As soon as I experimented with psyllium and bentonite and to see what would happen, I'm documenting everything I did for a whole 1,200 days. I've done this in the last 25 years. I never saw any mucoid plaque get created out of that stuff. Again, when you look at a solid food vacation, you're going to get idiots out there looking at the negatives. Mucoid plaque ain't real, blah, 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 blah. That's just troll, shill, shill, shill. You're not ignorant, you're a shill. That's why I went on and banned you today, and this video probably won't come out until 3 or 4 days unless I decide to bump it up and put it ahead of time. But anyway, that's what we're up against, my friends. The truth has enemy. Look what fasting will do. Look at anybody who has experience with it and they rave about it. But some don't know about juice fasting and they're going to poo-poo it because they don't know any better. If you look at the people who know a lot about both and have experience in both, they all say the juices are superior because you're also addressing that other group of needs. Remember, a water fast only addresses the primary cause. It doesn't address the subsequent cause because the body's damaged. So there is a time and a place to know how to support our body when it's damaged and also to support if the environment's damaged. Keeping in mind, we live in a sick society. Most of us don't have the luxury to take a solid food vacation on water. But if everything hits the fan, don't be afraid of it because the fear of that is what's going to keep you from being successful. You probably don't have too many heavy metals. And if you do have a few, it's going to do minimal damage. And the benefits, again, you look at the pros and the cons. I do a water fast and look how much muscle I lose. You do a juice fast, you don't lose any muscle. If you know how to do it, it's different. As I mentioned earlier, when you adopt a raw vegan diet, you can't build muscle, you can't build tissue back up as fast as you break it down. What's the difference? Well, on a solid food vacation on juices, you're not wasting any energy and you're consuming 2-3 times as much as you would had you were trying to eat it. You see? So we can build the body up. Why? Because we don't waste energy processing that stuff. All that energy can be used toward cleansing and rebuilding. You see? So there's a reason why I get so excited about a solid food vacation. Why? Because I know when you do it, woo-hoo, you're in for a treat.